Hey everyone, Joe here. It is, I think, January 6th, and this week's topic on Genderqueer Chat is, I picked it actually, so I should know it. It's heroes, and I had to laugh because I didn't actually even know the answer to my own question. I had to really think about it. So I just came up with sort of a short list like Chris did, and I don't know, that I'm not, again, like Chris, I'm not really into heroes or hero worship. I'm more just people I admire. And actually what brought this on, the reason that I came up with the topic in the first place, was I was just watching all the coverage of Julian Assange, who is the founder of WikiLeaks. And I have to admit, I'm like enamored with the whole concept. I love whistleblowing. You have no idea how much I admire and love whistleblowers. I just think the world of them. I think secrets and lies are bullshit and should be exposed at all costs. And I think like a guy like Julian Assange, who's blowing the lid off governments and state secrets, military secrets, I think that's great. I really do. And I know that's not a popular opinion, but Julian Assange is one of my heroes for that reason. And I know he's up on rape charges or whatever, sexual I don't even know what the name of the charge was. And half of me thinks he's being framed, and then there's this whole other, the feminists would say, and I am a feminist, that, you can't just disregard the testimony or the opinions of women who claim to have been raped, because so many women have been raped. I mean, pretty much, I think 1 in 3 is the statistic or something. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, I don't want to disregard those women, but I guess I'll just say that as far as whistleblowing goes, I love the guy. I love that he does that. I love that, he and I think very similar when it comes to that sort of thing. So Julian Assange. The other person I have several people on my list. One is Georges Larac, who is a Canadian NHL hockey player. He was. He's from Haiti. He's a black guy, a big black French Canadian guy, who was kind of known as the enforcer in hockey. And I don't watch hockey. I hate hockey, as you remember from my sports video. The only reason I know anything about him is I'm a loud and proud member of the Green Party of Canada. I ran in 3 elections, like 2 federal and 1 provincial election between 2003 and 2006. So anyway, our party leader is somebody named Elizabeth May, and Georges Larac was recently declared the deputy party leader of the Green Party of Canada. He's actually, I think they have one of each gender, so he's the male deputy party leader. And I read up on him, and he became a vegan in 2009, and he speaks out against cruelty to animals and also veganism for environmental reasons. And if you ever hear him speak, the first time I ever heard him speak, I didn't know anything about him. I just heard him on the radio, and I caught it in the middle of the interview, and I thought, this guy's awesome. He's just so very awesome. So he's definitely a hero of mine. I love people who speak out about environmental causes, cruelty towards animals, veganism, anything like that. I'm a vegetarian, not a vegan, but same idea. Julian Assange, Georges Larac. This is a weird one. Dwight D. Eisenhower. I went to Dwight Eisenhower's presidential library. Maybe if I can, again, I always say I'm going to do it and I never do. I'm going to try and splice in a picture of me standing at the monument. The only reason I like Eisenhower, there were a couple of reasons, is just I'm an avid road tripper, and he began the interstate system in the U.S., and I just really appreciate that. I just think that's awesome to have a vision. I think he was a general in World War II, and at one point he had to go to Alaska via the roads at the time. And if you've ever driven the Alaska Highway, which I have in both directions, the Alaska Highway is a marvel of technology and industry, and it's just amazing to see how you can make a road like that so far through so much crazy landscape, in the name of a better place. And I think it was after, and it's through British Columbia, by the way, and parts of the Yukon. I mean, it's mostly, in fact, vast majority of the Alaska Highway is on Canadian soil. But Eisenhower was the one who I think decided that a road like that needed to be built, and then kind of clued in that the rest of the U.S. should have an interlocking system of roads that connect each state to one another. The other thing I liked about Eisenhower, but I think I've since been proven wrong on it, is when I went to his grave, there were no religious connotations whatsoever in his little place of worship. There are no crosses, no religious insignia on the stained glass windows, no prayers, no mentions of Jesus, no mentions of God. And for a U.S. president, that's pretty rare. I've since found out that he was the guy who fought for In God We Trust on the cash, the U.S. cash, which kind of blew my theory out of the water. I thought he was an atheist, but he's not. Kate Bornstein is somebody I just discovered in, what was the guy putting his grocery? I'm in a grocery store parking lot. My friends are coming. Christine is coming back to visit me tonight, and my mom's at my house right now. I don't have any privacy at home. It's okay. Kate Bornstein was one that Chris mentioned, and I had to laugh because I'm so new to the whole genderqueer world, and I hadn't even heard of her at all. And I was watching the Brandon Tina story the other day. I had never even seen that movie, and she's in it. Kate Bornstein's in it. And I know one of the trainee stars had mentioned her, Samantha had mentioned her in the book she'd written about things to do instead of suicide. And I've seen her interviewed, and I just think the world of her. Okay, how am I doing for time? 5 minutes. Okay, Angela W., who was one of my best friends, and she died in 2008. She was a huge hero of mine. I think I've mentioned her in previous videos. Angela left me money in her will that enabled me to buy a van and travel for 35,000 kilometers around North America in the summer of 2008 and fulfill a lifelong dream of mine. But when I met Angela, I was 19 and she was 40. She had just turned 40 and she had just gotten herself her driver's license for her 40th birthday, and she learned how to drive late in life. And she had had her tubes tied when she was 22. And there were several things about her that just inspired me to the nth degree. I knew when I met her that I wanted to grow up and be just like her. And I can honestly say that I have. And I had my tubes tied when I was 26. She was the first person to turn me on to the idea that it's possible to live a life without children. At the time, you think when you're born a girl, you're often kind of just told or reminded that you're just going to grow up, get married, and have kids someday. And it's not even an option not to. At least for me and my generation. Again, I know I'm a lot older than a lot of people, but I got a transport truck coming up behind me. No, he's good. I'm very trusting of transport truck drivers since I got my transport truck driving license. I'm very respectful of them. They're very good drivers 99% of the time. Anyway, Angela was the one that taught me you can do anything in life. You can get your license late in life. You can travel alone. She was the one who taught me you can travel alone. She taught me that you didn't have to have a boyfriend or kids to be happy. And I love her for that. I got several more here, so I should quicken it up. Deepak Chopra, who I love, but I don't always agree with him. But I love listening to him, and I love reading his books. And wow, this is really noisy. Again, transport truck coming right up to my front. I'm really sorry, I'm distracted. Okay, Deepak Chopra I like, sort of a hero of mine. Emmitt Smith. Now, I don't know if you've heard of this guy. He's an American NFL football player. I don't even know why I'm putting sports people in here, but they do inspire me from time to time. Emmett won Dancing with the Stars one year, I think season 3. And that was the year I started watching the show. And I had never heard of him because I don't follow football. But he's another big black guy. Like just kind of a beefy guy that you wouldn't think would be delicate on his feet. You know what I mean? Like a ballroom dancer or whatever. And he had a bit of an attitude. He was a very serious fellow. He really was determined, very, very determined to do well at Dancing with the Stars, to learn these dances and dance them well. And I remember just one line he said that it really did change my life. And it was something along the lines of, his friends were mocking him. Again, homophobia or, these are very gendered things where a big, beefy black guy is not allowed to do, the rumba or Latin dancing because it makes you look whatever, faggy, whatever disrespectful term you want to throw in there. So he was doing it in a sense to spite his friends and to remind them that you can do anything you say. He said something along the lines of, it takes a big man, again, gender terminology, to do something that you might fail at or might look stupid at and do it anyway. And those words, despite the use of the word man in there, really rang true to me and really, really, really prompted me to take ballroom dancing lessons after that, because I was always very unathletic and very clumsy, and I never thought I would ever do anything like that. So I really do credit Emmitt Smith with giving me the courage to take dancing lessons, and it was very good for me both physically and spiritually. Elie Wiesel, who is a Holocaust survivor, he has a quote at the bottom. Sorry, I have included this quote at the bottom of every email I've sent for probably over 10 years, both at work and personally. And this quote, and I don't have it written, so no, I do. This quote has meant the world to me, and again, it kind of goes back to whistleblowing, my first Julian Assange one. This really sums up everything that I believe, and Elie Wiesel was the one who quoted this. So, I swore never to be silent whenever and wherever human beings endure suffering and humiliation. We must always take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented. So he is my hero for that, and that alone. And then I've also read books of his, and he blows my mind on several levels, but that quote. I just wrote a couple names here. Erin Brockovich, which I don't really know much about her, but again, whistleblower. Love it. Love the concept. James Howard Kunstler, who is very strange, kind of doomsday author. He writes a lot about the end of peak oil. I really love reading his stuff, and I love being inspired by his stuff. Malcolm Gladwell is another one that Chris mentioned, and I'm totally on board with that. Malcolm's my hero. So just to finish off here, 10 minutes, I'm doing good. I'm just going to read a couple of quotes that are meaningful to me by people that may or may not have inspired me in my life. Maya Angelou, I don't really care for poetry or prose, so I don't read her stuff, but this quote blew me away. We did what we knew how to do, and when we knew better, we did better. And that reminds me not to be too hard on myself. I'm very hard on myself because I think that I should have done a lot of things differently in my life, but I forget that I was not this person back then. You know, I did what I knew how to do at that time, and now that I know better, I do better. This one is called... Frankie Sullivan is the guitar player for a 80s band called Survivor. Do you remember Eye of the Tiger? I read this quote on a discussion. I'm a big fan, so I was on some fan discussion board for Survivor, and he said this, but I don't know where he got it from. Obviously, it's a more famous quote than that, but I always attribute it to Frankie Sullivan. And the line is, "You can't adjust the wind, but you can adjust the sails." And I don't know much about sailboating, but I do know that it doesn't matter which way the wind's blowing. I think when you adjust the sails, you can make the boat go in the direction you want. Theodore Roosevelt. This is a good one. The best thing you can do is the right thing. I think it's Theodore Roosevelt. I don't know. The best thing you can do is the right thing. The second best thing you can do is the wrong thing. But the worst thing that you can do is nothing. And that goes back to maybe the Elie Wiesel quote of doing nothing helps the tormentor. And my last one is, and again, this could be wrong. I could be wrong with these, who I'm attributing these quotes to, but this one is Florence Foster Jenkins, apparently, the worst opera singer ever. Apparently she couldn't sing a note, but she didn't stop her from trying. And the quote that she came up with was, "People may say I can't sing, but no one can ever say I didn't sing." I love that. So those are some of my heroes, some of the people that inspire me, and some of the quotes that inspire me. I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.